As a doctor, there are 5 specific vaccines I would never ever under any circumstances put into my own body. And if you are over 60, there is a very strong chance that one of these is already sitting in your arm right now because your doctor gave it to you and told you it was the best thing for your health. And you got it because you trusted your doctor, because you were being responsible, because you were doing everything right. And what I am about to tell you has absolutely nothing to do with being anti-vaccine or conspiracy theories or any of that noise. In fact, it is the complete opposite. My reason for avoiding these 5 shots is based on the most current, most advanced science that exists right now in 2024. And knowing what I am about to show you today could genuinely be the difference between a healthy year and a hospital bed before this winter is over. I am not just going to tell you which 5 vaccines are silently failing the people who need protection the most. I am going to walk you through the devastating mistake that thousands of seniors are making every single day without a single clue. And most importantly, the alternative, the stronger version, the one built specifically for your body at your age that your doctor should have told you about years ago, but never did. This is not a video meant to frighten you. This is a video meant to put you in control. Because the next time you sit in that chair and roll up your sleeve, I do not want you sitting there like a passenger. I want you to know exactly what name to say. I want you to be the most informed person in that room. And after today, you will be. Now, before I show you the 5 vaccines and the 5 names that replace them, I need you to understand one thing first. One concept. Because this one concept is the reason all 5 of these situations exist in the first place. And once you understand it, everything I am about to show you is going to make complete sense. I want you to think about something most of us have experienced at some point in our lives. A house with an old water heater. When that water heater is brand new, you turn on the hot tap and within seconds you have got powerful hot water, full pressure, consistent temperature. It responds fast. It delivers exactly what you need every single time. Now that same water heater 20 years later, it still works. It is still trying, but it takes longer to heat up. The pressure is not quite what it used to be. And on a cold morning when you really need it to perform at full capacity, it sometimes just cannot get there the way it once did. Your immune system after 60 is that water heater. It is not broken. It is not failing. It is still working hard every single day to protect you. But it does not respond to threats as fast as it once did. It does not build protection as powerfully. And it does not hold on to that protection as long as it once did. Every single vaccine on this list was designed and tested decades ago on younger immune systems. They were calibrated expecting a brand new water heater behind them. Full pressure, instant response. And when you give those version 1.0 vaccines to a 68-year-old body, the response is quieter than it needs to be. The protection is thinner than it needs to be, and it fades faster than anyone told you it would. So, you walk out of that pharmacy every year feeling completely covered. Your doctor nods and says, "You are good." But underneath the surface, the shield that was supposed to protect you is already starting to disappear. Now, here's what I need you to really hear. Science figured this out. And science built new versions, version 2.0 vaccines, one specifically engineered for the immune system of someone over 60, ones that force the system awake no matter how tired it is. Think about it this way. Imagine you needed reading glasses and your doctor handed you a pair from 10 years ago. They kind of work. You can sort of see, but everything is a little blurry and you are getting headaches and you just assume that is how it is supposed to feel. And then one day someone tells you that the prescription was updated 2 years ago and the new lenses are sitting in the drawer right next to the old ones and they cost exactly the same. That is what is happening with these 5 vaccines right now. The updated prescription exists. It is right there and nobody handed it to you. So let's fix that starting right now. Starting with the one that makes me the most frustrated every single time I think about it. Pneumonia. Most people hear pneumonia and they picture a bad chest cold, a rough week in bed, soup, and rest, and then back on your feet. But for adults over 65, pneumonia is not a bad week. The bacteria behind the most dangerous form travels. It gets into the bloodstream. It gets into the brain. It causes sepsis, which is when the body starts shutting down one organ at a time. I am not describing rare worst-case scenarios. I am describing what I see happen to people every single year who walked into that situation believing they were protected. I had a patient 71 years old, walked 3 miles every morning, got every vaccine on schedule without fail for 20 years. He ended up in my ICU last winter with a severe pneumococcal infection. I stood outside his room reading his chart, and I felt sick because he had done everything right. He had gotten his pneumonia shot. He had followed every instruction I ever gave him. But he had gotten the version 1.0, and his 71-year-old immune system had built just enough of a response to feel protected without actually being protected. He spent 19 days in the hospital. He was not the same man who walked in. The vaccine that failed him is called PPSV23, brand Pneumovax 23. That number 23 sounds impressive. 23 strains covered. But here is what Pneumovax actually does inside an older body. It hands your immune system a photograph of the threat. Just a photograph. For a young, powerful immune system, a photograph is enough. The system sees it, locks it in, stays alert. But for an older immune system, that photograph gets a slow, tired response. The memory it builds is shallow. And within a year, sometimes less, that memory is already fading. That is the version 1.0 trap. A blurry photograph handed to a tired garden called protection. So what did science do? Science built the version 2.0. Instead of just handing the immune system a photograph, this new vaccine physically walks the threat into the room and makes the immune system deal with it directly. It attaches the bacteria to a protein the body already knows and already reacts to strongly. So even a tired older immune system cannot look away. The response is powerful. The memory is deep. The protection lasts. This is called PCV20, brand name Prevnar 20. The CDC now lists it as the preferred choice, not an option, a preference. Write these words down right now. I want Prevnar 20. For words. Those 4 words could be the only thing standing between you and an ICU bed this winter. Now, that one has a fix that takes 30 seconds to ask for. But the next one on this list is different. This is the one that does not send you to the hospital and bring you home. This is the one that moves into your life quietly and never fully leaves. And by the time most people realize what it has taken from them, they cannot get it back. I am talking about shingles. I had a patient, 74 years old, active, sharp, completely happy with her life. She volunteered 3 afternoons a week. She had a garden her grandchildren ran through every summer. She came in one morning with what felt like a burning under her shoulder blade. She thought she had slept on it wrong. 2 days later, the rash appeared. She called me 3 weeks later to say the rash had cleared. She was relieved. She thought it was over. 8 months later, she was still sitting in my office in pain. Not the rash. The rash was long gone. What she had is called post-herpetic neuralgia, nerve pain that lives in the exact path the virus traveled. She described it as a hot wire pressed against her nerve from the inside. Not sharp, not occasional, constant every hour of every single day. She stopped volunteering. She stopped gardening. She stopped sleeping through the night. She told me one afternoon that the person she used to be felt completely gone. I have sat with patients through broken bones and major surgeries. I cannot count how many of them told me shingles nerve pain was worse than all of it combined. If you had chickenpox as a child, and if you were over 50, you almost certainly did. That virus never left your body. It retreated into your nerve tissue, and it has been sitting there completely silent ever since, waiting for the immune system to get tired enough. And when it finds that moment, it burns through your nerves. And for many people, it never fully stops. The version 1.00 shingles vaccine was called Zostavax. In adults over 80, it was about 18% effective. 18%. That is not protection. That is a version 1.0 tool handed to the people who needed the strongest possible version 2.0. Zostavax is off the market in the United States now. But I still have patients coming in every week who got that shot 10 years ago and genuinely believe they are covered. If that is you, you're not covered. That protection is gone. The virus is still in your nerves, and it is still waiting. The version 2.0 is called Shingrix. And I will say something I almost never say. Shingrix is close to a perfect vaccine. In adults over 80, it is over 90% effective. That is an extraordinary number for a population that age. Yes, it is 2 doses. Yes, your arm will be sore. You might feel tired for a day. Every time a patient calls to complain about that soreness, I tell them the same thing. That is not something going wrong. That is your immune system being forced completely awake. That soreness is the physical sensation of real version 2.0 protection being built inside your body. One sore day versus 8 months of nerve pain that steals your garden and your grandchildren and your sleep and your sense of yourself. Ask for Shining by name. 2 doses. Do not skip the second one. Now, do you see the pattern? Same aging immune system. Same version 1.0 tool that was never built for it. Same gap between what the science knows and what is actually landing in people's arms. That pattern is about to show up again with the flu shot. And this one catches people off guard every single time. Every autumn, millions of responsible people do exactly the right thing. They go to the pharmacy, they roll up their sleeve, they get the flu shot, they walk out feeling handled. And for a lot of them, that feeling is not accurate. Here is what nobody at that pharmacy counter is telling you. There is more than one flu vaccine in that refrigerator. And if you are over 65 and you do not say something specific before that needle comes out, they're going to hand you the version 1.0 by default. Not out of malice, just out of habit. The standard flu vaccine was calibrated for a young, aggressive immune system. For someone over 65, that same dose triggers a weaker response. The protection does not last as deep into the season. And the consequences of that gap are not minor because the flu for people our age is not just a bad week. The flu kicks the door open for pneumonia to walk straight in. It floods the body with inflammation that can directly trigger a heart attack or a stroke. Between 70 and 85% of all flu deaths every single year happen in people over 65. This is not a mild inconvenience in our age group. This is a serious threat. So scientists built the version 2.0. The vaccine called Fluzone High-Disease uses 4 times the standard amount, and the data shows it delivers around 24% better protection against flu hospitalization in seniors. That is real people who did not end up in a hospital bed. There is also a version called Fluad, which uses an added ingredient that forces a powerful immune response regardless of age. Both are specifically recommended for adults over 65. Neither one will automatically appear in the needle headed for your arm unless you ask. This fall, before anything touches your arm, say these words. Do you have the high-disease flu vaccine for seniors? If that pharmacy does not carry it, do not shrug and accept the version 1.0 as a consolation prize. Call one more pharmacy. It takes 5 minutes, and it could save you a month in the hospital. Now, the next one is not about protecting yourself at all. This one is about protecting someone who has absolutely no ability to protect themselves yet. And the mistake I see adults make with this one is the hardest part of my job to sit with. Most adults over 50 believe they are fully covered because they get a tetanus booster every 10 years. The TD shot, tetanus, and diphtheria. They feel responsible. They feel complete. But the TD shot does not cover whooping cough. In a healthy adult, whooping cough feels like almost nothing. A stubborn cough that lingers for a few weeks. You would never think you were carrying something that could kill someone. But in a newborn baby who has not had a single vaccine yet, whooping cough is catastrophic. Their airways are the size of a straw. The infection fills those airways completely. They cannot breathe. They turn blue. They end up on breathing machines. Some suffer permanent brain damage. Some never come home. And in the vast majority of those cases, the baby was infected by someone who loved them deeply and had absolutely no idea they were carrying anything dangerous. I had a patient with a cough that had been hanging around for about 3 weeks. He thought nothing of it. Drove 2 hours to meet his brand new grandchild. Held that baby all afternoon. Was the happiest I had ever seen him in years. The baby was in the hospital 12 days later. There is a version 2.0 of the tetanus booster called TDAP. One extra letter, the P stands for TASIS, whooping cough. Same shot, same appointment, same insurance. The only difference is that it makes you safe. Safe to hold that baby. Safe to be in that room. Safe to be the arms that child is brought home to. If there is any chance a new baby is entering your life, do not wait for your scheduled booster. Go now. Ask specifically for TDAP, not TD. That one letter is the entire difference between being that baby's safest place in the world and being the reason they never come home. And finally, we need to talk about CO. And I want to address something I hear from good, responsible patients constantly. They tell me, I got my original shots. I got my booster. I am done. Those original vaccines were genuinely remarkable. They saved an enormous number of lives. And I will never minimize that for a single second. But here is what the virus did while you were feeling protected. It changed its face completely. It changed the exact surface features that your immune system was trained to recognize and attack. The protection built from those earlier shots is now searching for a version of this virus that barely exists in the air anymore. It is like your immune system memorized one very specific face and spent years staying sharp for that face. And now a completely different person is walking through the door. The hesitation in that moment of recognition is all the virus needs. The version 2.0 approach is simple. Update the formula regularly to match what is actually circulating right now. The most recently updated formula is the only version that gives your immune system an accurate picture of the real threat that exists today. One question before you sit down. Is this the current updated formula for this season? For seconds. That is the entire cost. So, let me give you the complete list one final time. Take out your phone right now and put these 5 names in your notes because these names are the entire reason this video exists. For pneumonia, you want Prevnar 20. The moment anyone reaches for Pneumovax 23, you say no thank you and you ask again. Do not leave without it. For shingles, you want Shingrix, 2 doses. If you got the old Zostavax years ago, that protection is gone and you start over with Shingrix from the beginning. For flu, you say high-dose senior flu vaccine, Fluzone High-Dose or Fluad. If that pharmacy does not carry either one, you find a pharmacy that does. For tetanus, you ask for TAP, not TD. Write that down separately. One letter, everything. For COVID, you ask one question before you sit down. Is this the current updated formula for this season? Every single time, without exception, 5 names. That is what this entire video comes down to. None of us are getting younger. I am not, and you are not. But there is a version of getting older where the science is completely on your side. Where every single shot going into your arm is the strongest, most precisely engineered version 2.0 that exists for your immune system at your age right now. That version is available to you today. It is sitting on a shelf near you right now. It is almost certainly already paid for by your insurance. The only thing standing between you and that protection is knowing which name to say out loud. Now you know. Please share this video with someone you love today. Your spouse, a sibling, anyone in your life over 60 who rolls up their sleeve every year and walks out thinking they are fully covered. One conversation, 5 names. Sometimes that is genuinely all the difference there is between a healthy year and a tragedy. I am Dr. Robert Harrison. Stay sharp. Choose the version 2.0 and I will see you in the next.